Okay, I'm going to start over. I think sometimes one of the hardest things for me to do is translate what I see in my brain into words, because my brain doesn't really use words. It's not a very good linguist. But today we are going to be talking about harmony one more time, because harmony and the hum and other vibrational goings on affect more than just our body, but it affects the world around us and actually affects the universe and all of the different universal planes. So the question is, can we get something out of nothing? Or does nothing actually mean nothing, that there's nothing out there? So we're going to look at that and what nothing actually means. We're going to look at the word harmony, and we're going to bring that in right into the forefront, because nothing actually is harmony. So it's negating two things. We're going to pretend. So when we go back to dualism, looking at duality, we have the hot and the cold, and we bring them together, and it creates a neutral. So we have equal parts. It creates a neutral, and that neutral, let's say, we're going to pretend is 98.7, our temperature, our body temperature. Pretend that's your body temperature. You might go higher or lower, but your normal body temperature. And you stick your hand right into that water, and you actually probably wouldn't feel it, because it is the exact same temperature as you. So it feels like you're sticking your hand into nothing. Now, we're taking all of this with a grain of salt, of course. So let's look at when we have this nothing. If we're looking at just the hot and the cold, and we're going to pretend that the hot and the cold are everything, and they come together and they harmonize just right, it feels like there's absolutely nothing. But it means that we have the combination of everything, and everything is creating nothing. Okay, let's think about that for 2 seconds. Now, the reason why I am talking about this is because it is in this pool of nothing that is absolutely everything. So when I talk about creating harmony within our own body in order to tap into more eternal knowledge or the ethereal plane, it's really truly creating nothing. And when we go into meditation or we do bouts of silence, it's not that we're getting rid of thought. It's not that we're getting rid of things. What we're doing is we're creating neutrality, so that thoughts or things or whatever is going on come in and they just kind of flow through us, because we're in this pool of nothing. So that's why sometimes people say, oh, you've got to think about nothing. Empty your mind, and you do these things, but you're actually finding harmony. You're actually letting things free flow, and you're not having anything attached to you. And that's a total side note. I don't know why I'm heading down that path, but we're going to veer back over here onto creating harmony, creating nothing. Now, there's several studies, more than several studies, but primary studies going on how our universe began. And one of those is the Big Bang, and one of those is the Big Chill. And both basically say we're coming out of nothing. And they haven't really looked back. I mean, they are, but we don't talk about it too much on what is on the other side of the Big Chill, or what's on the other side of the Big Bang. Now we're going to use the Big Bang here for our example, because that's one that most of us are familiar with. Ooh, a bird just hit the window. Oh good, he's okay. He just flew over there. Now on the other side of the Big Bang, there's a recipe. And you're saying, well, why does there have to be a recipe? Well, because if we look, we aren't creating something out of what we assume nothing. We cannot create something and we cannot destroy matter. So we can't create matter, we can't destroy matter. Okay, so there's got to be matter somewhere. Just bear with me here for 2 seconds. Now, on the other side of the Big Bang, we're going to say is a giant, massive black hole. And maybe this black hole was in the center of a sun, and the sun fell in upon itself, and then all of the matter around it started falling into this black hole and being stirred and mixed up, kind of like you're entering a big giant whirlpool. It's being pulled in by a gravitational force and being spun around and getting pressure, intense pressure, and it's getting pressed finer and finer and finer and finer and finer until it creates and hits a point of absolute nothing. Creates a point of this harmony. So we have all the material and it's being mixed and stirred and cooked and pressurized and coming down and down and down and down and down. And we hit this harmony and it basically inverts itself and then explodes out. And then we have the Big Bang explosion. Okay, so this is the 30-second look at the Big Bang theory here. But we're just going to pretend that when we hit that point of total harmony, that point of absolute nothing, right before the inversion of these elements, there was nothing there. Absolutely nothing there, because it was right at that point of inversion. And when that inversion happened, all of that material, all of everything that was inside that point, all of everything that was inside the nothing came out. And we can have forms of inflation, with the inflation theory, but what happened was we have all of the material, all of absolutely everything that we need to begin this universal plane was in that point. It was completely inverted and sent out. So we look at that harmony. So when we look back at the Big Chill, or we look back at the Big Bang, and people are saying, well, it literally came out of nothing. It literally came out of absolute nothing. Now we look at dark matter, we can look at dark energy, we can empty space out, and the emptiness actually has weight to it. Now, how is that possible? How is it possible that in between the stars, in between all of the matter and material that we can actually see, that we can actually extract, how can that nothingness in that void have weight? And that's because it is everything. Everything is in there. It is just harmonized, and it's harmonized to, let's say, frequency levels that create nothing, that you can't pick it up. Now, maybe someday we'll get machinery or observation tools that will allow us to tap in on some of these invisible frequencies. But for the most part, this dark matter and the dark energy are absolutely everything. And that's why they can weigh something. So the reason I think I'm talking about this in such a hodgepodge way is because when we look at our body and how we can utilize frequency and how we can utilize the electromagnetic organism that we are in order to gain access to our intuition. We want to look at harmonizing. We want to look at becoming that void. Now, I'm not saying we want to stop our life here and we don't want to see what's going on around here. But sometimes when we create this harmony, we can delineate, we can remove the delineation between our body and the world around us. And we can do that through grounding, where we forget that we actually have this body. And it is a very unique and odd sensation to be able to do that, but it's one that is definitely worth playing around and exploring to find. Maybe we'll do a fireside on this and get some homeworks or something of activities that we can do or things that we can do to attempt to create nothing. But just remember, nothing is going to be everything. And I think this is how duality and non-duality work in conjunction with each other, because literally we can take the duality and bring it in together, still recognizing the principles of duality while creating absolutely nothing, or one, which would be kind of like the non-duality. Boy, this video just went all over the place. I really probably should start scripting these, but I just thought that was an interesting thought, and I wanted to share it with you guys today because we were talking about creating harmony, working with frequencies, working with our frequencies, working with the frequencies around us, and how that when we want to enter that hum or we want to enter harmony, we are literally entering what would be considered nothing when we look at the universal plane, and which is absolutely everything. So yes, nothing is everything. Okay, now that I have you completely confused, I'm going to sign off and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.